Welcome watch fans. In this video we're going to look at watch collecting. If you're just getting into it, you might think this is a good way to beat inflation. And you'd be right. Some watches, especially at the high end, the luxury Swiss, they can keep pace with inflation. They can even beat inflation sometimes. The reasons to collect: it's a portable physical asset. You can take it with you. Government and banks don't control it like they do with, say, digital currencies. In the mid-range, you can find lots and lots of watches for diving, chronographs, whatever that will make you happy. First of all, I'd say forget most fashion watches. They tend to have basic quartz movements inside them, and they're a triumph of marketing over content in general. So there are a few exceptions, but mostly avoid the fashion brand stuff. And let's just have a quick word about ladies' watches. Yes, Rolex, Cartier, Gucci, and some of the brands, they will always find female fans. But in general, women don't really collect watches. And so the values on, say, vintage watches, vintage Swiss watches, vintage Citizen and Seikos ladies' watches are pretty low. So don't get into that. If you're thinking they're too cheap, there's a reason. No one collects them. Now, collabs are good. Ask yourself, are you a flipper or a long-term collector? If you're a flipper, you want collabs. Like the Swatch and the Omega was a runaway success in 2022. You've got brands like Casio that do loads and loads of interesting collabs, limited editions. Timex also do that. If you can get in early, then you can probably flip it. Of course, if you've got a big budget, you might be able to flip a Rolex. And it'll be interesting to see if Rolex's move on pre-owned watches changes that market at all. Very interesting year ahead for Rolex collectors in 2023. Now, if you're getting into the budget end, there are brands like Tissot, which in my opinion offer fantastic value. And you've got Seikos, Citizen, Swiss brands like Hamilton. But then there's the vintage watches to think about as well. And a lot of these relatively cheap watches are beautifully made, still running after 50, 60 years. Same with the older Seikos as well. So there's lots and lots to think about. And the best advice I can give anyone is research what it is you want to collect. Research the brand history, the heritage of it, the key movements in their evolution, all that stuff, because knowledge is power. Another top tip: make friends with a watchmaker, or at least someone who fettles watches as a hobby, because you need knowledge if you're just getting into this hobby. You need to know about how movements work, what an automatic is. You need to know chronographs are more complex than standard automatics or mechanical wind-ups. Buy some old watches that are non-running. Take them apart. It's one of the best ways that you can learn. If you're shopping online and you see this in the description, overwound, needs oiling, it's a Sicura Breitling, these are all clues that the seller doesn't really know a lot about watches. And sometimes that can be a good thing. It can mean you can get something a bit cheaper. But often they're just best avoided. So yeah, learn as you go and work your way up to big budget stuff, because you can't really afford to make mistakes if you're going to spend 10 grand or more on watches. Make friends with authorized dealers. Learn in depth. Decide what grail watch you want to collect, or 5 or 6 Swiss watches that you're going to put together as an investment package. Boxes, paperwork, servicing. Know the retailer, their reputation. Do all that Trustpilot stuff as well. And if you're into bling, always remember the diamonds and the gold content is not necessarily valuable on its own. Watches with jewels, generally, in my opinion, best avoided. Well, I hope that's given you some ideas, some food for thought. So I wish you happy collecting in 2023, and see you next time. Bye for now.